back to the Intel Extreme Masters Brazil. We are live from Sao Paulo. Thank you for joining us wherever you are in the world right now. We are on to match number 2 in Group B to find out who goes through to the semi-finals, joining Millennium, of course, from yesterday, and Meet Your Makers. Joining me is Freak and Rivington from Riot Games. Thank you for joining us. Interesting first game, I thought.
Yeah, I thought it was really awesome. It kind of went, normal at first. There were lanes, and then at 8 minutes there weren't any lanes, and that was like pretty cool because they did their own thing, and they still made it to the objectives. They still figured out a way to make it to that Nexus. And
I actually have a quote on here from the notes that we made through that 13:40. So 13 minutes into the game, Riv says the laning phase seems to have ended, but the turrets aren't down.
Yes.
That was unusual.
It was, and basically, actually, right after the game, I actually talked to the player from Insight, and he said that was a new strategy we were trying, which was focusing on global objectives, not so much focusing on kills. Now, they did pretty well for themselves on kills, to be fair, but they tried really hard to get every dragon. They had that Baron bait going on. They pushed turrets very, very well throughout that game.
Yeah.
They just kept sending Elise to go split push all the time, and apparently, actually, that player's nickname in Brazil is Spider-Man, because he is the best Elise in Brazil.
Yep.
Well, there you go. New insight, foresight. No pun intended. We're moving on
Really?
to our second game. No, there was no pun. There was no Jason pun there. We are moving on to our second game, which is potentially a better game.
Potentially.
But we'll see how Anexis shapes up. LGIM, obviously, we know a lot more about them than we do about Anexis, but Anexis has been playing pretty recently, and it'd be interesting to see how the Koreans and the Europeans match up again.
It'll be an interesting match, really. LGIM, for those who don't follow the Korean scene very well, are probably a top 8 team in Korea. And that doesn't always sound very strong for most regions, but Korea is a very deep country in terms of team talent.
Yeah.
The recent league is playing right now. They only lost in the quarterfinals to Azubu Blaze 2-3. They actually won the first 2 games in a row, and then narrowly, lost 3 to lose to Blaze.
Yeah.
But this is a team that is very much at the top of their game, right? 2-3 to Blaze is not a bad result. Most teams in the world can't 2-3 Blaze.
Yeah.
So that's already telling you they've got quite a lot of skill on them. The other thing to really point out is Ring Troll, their jungler, has just like ludicrously legendary Lee Sin. And if Anexis doesn't ban that out, it just tells them they didn't do any research and don't know what he's capable of. So there's some all-star players. There's a lot of skill from them. You said in the very beginning of the show that they're probably the heavy favorite for the group, and I think it's completely true.
Yeah, okay. Let's talk a little bit about Lee Sin, because yesterday we saw him, and it completely passed me by that there was a ping issue.
Sure.
You sort of forget, when we're not playing, they are, and you kind of forget sometimes that there's a ping issue. The Lee Sin we saw yesterday was like a 1 in 10 chance of landing anything. So is that ping related, or was it just poor play?
I think it's more poor play and nerves. I've been playing actually before each day started ARAMs up on the main stage with the audience and with Riot Brazilian people, and it's really not that bad. Realistically, anything below 200 is really not that bad at all. You've got like a minor delay, but it's very, very small.
Yeah.
And you got to consider on both ends of it too, where maybe it's a little bit harder to lead your target, but they also will react slower. So for the little bit of ping, a little bit of delay that is there, it's really on both sides, and it's almost better to play something like Lux or Morgana or Lee Sin because they have less time to juke you.
Okay. Well, thanks for not swapping Siva for Tryndamere earlier in that ARAM.
Yeah, no problem.
That was really...
I wanted to do well.
I really appreciated that.
Yes.
I thought I get one of those things in there. So, Riv, what are you looking forward to seeing in this particular matchup?
Well, I've been saying a lot of teams versus Curse because it's just a really good balance to put a power gauge at, because Anexis played very well against Curse, and I think may have almost taken... Did they take a game in Europe against them?
Anexis went 0-2.
The 0-2,
Yeah,
so
they
they didn't take a game, but I remember that game versus Curse. It's in my head as maybe they won, so I remember them playing well.
They're definitely very strong.
Yeah.
They had a tough group, right? They fought up against Fnatic, I believe, in the first round, and it was actually a very, very close game.
Right.
Had an unfortunate loss against Ultimate, but certainly, as far as LGS was concerned, they put up good games. I mean, it's very akin to what we saw the Brazilian teams do here, actually, which was, not a lot of wins for them, but very close games in those losses. If they had played those games 10 times, they might have won 3 or 5 of them. Unfortunately, they didn't here, but, Anexis had that kind of a result at the LCS.
Right.
There's certainly no slouches. They are a strong team. We'll see what they can do here.
Yeah, we've seen all 4 teams now from Brazil in this tournament.
Yep.
I guess the question really is that they've left this in no doubt that they can make kills.
Sure.
They've made plenty of kills. In fact, yesterday we saw them make 27 kills and still lose a game. So we know they can do the team fights. We know the compositions that they can put together are good. But why aren't they winning?
They don't just... I feel like they don't have the team knowledge of end game flow. Like it just feels like most of their games are ending because they're up in a bunch of kills and they can do whatever they want. But when you get to 20 minutes in, the teams, they just feel lost. They feel lost to me, where it's like they're winning and they're not doing much.
Yeah.
Like, and you saw really good early game reactions, right? The lane swap at level 1 was really, really smart. They 2-on-1 rise. They did a lot of good damage. And then Cade made this great move where Cho'Gath every wave would show up in mid and help wave clear and kept the turret alive. And that is a phenomenally smart choice. That is an incredibly intelligent adaptation and a great play by Cade, and a great setup by Insight as well to make that happen. But you didn't see those caliber of plays 20 minutes later. You saw them say, well, okay, we're into the team fight phase now. Maybe we'll get a hook, and then hopefully fights start off with that. And that was kind of like the limit of their knowledge of how to win the games. And so we saw that multiple times again with like Millennium against Pain and kind of all those games there, where they would get to that point 20 minutes in and be close or winning, and then not know, can we take this dragon?
Yeah.
Can we take this turret? Can we do Baron here? And they just didn't know.
Yeah.
They didn't have the knowledge of how to close that game out 20 minutes in.
So I guess what we're saying is that it's early game fine, mid game fine, late game not so fine.
Can't
so
close
2
it
out
out.
of 3 ain't bad, and that's a Meatloaf situation.
Yes.
Okay.
We've seen teams in NA that have done it too in Season 2 that had trouble closing out games. It is something that burdens teams very often.
Okay. Wasn't too far away from picks and bans, so let's talk a little bit about picks and bans.
Okay.
Olaf 100% picked or banned so far.
Yes.
Yeah.
No shock really.
No, and he did phenomenally well in the one game he was actually picked here. I think he started out 6-2 and was the reason that Cade held on so long, was he was able to mop up fights, pick up a couple kills in a row, do a really good job for himself. And I don't expect that to change here. When looking at Anexis games, I mean, Olaf was the first pick actually from Fnatic right away. They let that through and kind of immediately regretted that decision. When you look back at Azubu Blaze versus LGIM, same kind of thing. Olaf was kind of a must ban or an early pick there. And I think you're going to see that trend continue.
Yeah. Also, Mumu and Misfortune are also 100% picked or banned so far as well. And again, not really that much of a surprise.
Now, Misfortune's been a really popular AD carry for a while now. A lot of people thought it was because, you pick up Black Cleaver and you just shred people for bruisers. That's not really the case.
Yeah.
Misfortune has been good forever. And I remember the posts in the forums, Misfortune being, this AD carry left in the dust because she has no escape and it's so hard and you can't possibly channel a channeled ultimate in a team fight. And now we're in a game full of assassins and you're channeling a bullet time in the team fights.
Yeah.
So clearly that was never the problem. People just kind of realized, once again, Misfortune has been good, and yes, bullet time does a lot of damage. We should probably be playing her.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so they are.
3 other champions that I'll pick out just randomly while we're waiting for the players to connect. Nearly 100% win rate so far from an 83.3% pick.
Now that's a lane that you're not going to lose.
Yes, she has a lot that she can do, really. And you saw target bans come out against her. The split pushing power is amazing. She's very good at that. Can also just fit into a whole heck of a lot of compositions. We talk about champions sometimes in Champ Select where, guys like Lee Sin or Jace who can go into multiple lanes, and so you can pick them early and then kind of bait counter picks there. And we actually saw that, I think, most recently with it was like a Rumble mid, which is very, very rare. And actually, they got to throw that into a side lane out of nowhere, or into the mid lane out of nowhere,
right.
when you expect that to be top. And so Needley's one of those champions who can kind of get picked, and it can be mid, it can be AP Needly, and you suddenly get this amazing poke comp. Or, surprise, it's top lane Needly, I'm an amazing split pusher like Stanley showed at the World Championships, and like so many teams have shown here, Needly does great things.
Yeah. The other two are Wukong and Twisted Fate. They both have 100% record so far, both with 66.7% picked or banned. So, again, popular choices.
They are popular. I mean, they're good champions. They do a lot of things for their teams. Wukong was kind of the only initiator that I think Millennium knew how to play outside of Amumu. And so when they grabbed it, they had the ability to start fights. And, I mean, Millennium went 3-0. So any champion they pick is going to have a really good win rate, to be fair. And I think we'll see some of these fluctuate throughout the tournament. But, yeah, Wukong is good. He's been good. He's finally started getting picked. After a couple of years of getting released, and people have realized, mid lane's good for him. He's got a couple of rough matches, but being an initiator is a really good thing.
Okay, well, while they're just figuring out what they're doing for picks and bans, it's fairly easy, guys. You just join, okay?
Yes.
While they're doing that, it gives us an opportunity to talk a little bit about Azubu Blaze and Frost. Now, both of these two teams have qualified for the Grand Final for the World Championship at Inter Extreme Masters. 5th to the 9th of March, by the way, if you aren't aware, at CBIT. But recently there's an announcement that actually they're not going to renew their contract with Azubu. So where does that leave them? Two fantastic Korean teams.
Well, I think there's going to be a lot of organizations that are hungry to grab up Korean teams. When you look sort of way back in the day, Meet Your Makers picked up a Korean Warcraft 3 team. Evil Geniuses, I think, then picked them, at least a couple guys up for a while there. EG has a Korean StarCraft team now. Like, a lot of these organizations are happy to pick up teams from overseas.
Yeah.
And so I think you'll sort of see that. I mean, Azubu, if I'm not mistaken, are a German, or at least I believe a European organization. Someone's going to correct me and I'm going to be wrong here, but that was what I remember hearing a few months back. And so in general, like, there's not really, whether one of the Korean, big stellar organizations picks them up, or they go self-sponsored for a bit and just sort of live off their prize money. Yeah. Like, someone's going to want to pay those guys money to wear their tag.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they are two fantastic teams. You've also got, you've got people like Samson Khan out there who, allegedly have got a ton of money. They want to invest it in esports. They want to bring new teams on. They don't have a League of Legends team right now. Mm-hmm. Is that a fair assumption that they're going to pick at least one of them teams up?
I would be surprised if they weren't looking at it.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, for esports right now, League of Legends is the place to be. Like, our events have the most viewers. We've got a lot of amazing players, a lot of amazing personalities out there. I think everyone in esports is looking at League of Legends. Absolutely. And I'm not trying to be like, hey, look at me, I'm Riot, I'm so cool. But like, people watch League of Legends. It's a thing. And if you're an organization trying to front an esports team, League is a great place to look. Yeah. And if there's teams on the market, a Azubu Blaze and a Azubu Frost, really good places to look.
Yeah, absolutely.
Top caliber first pick.
Interestingly, I wonder, and this is no slight on CLGEU, by the way, who are a phenomenal team and a phenomenal set of players. I just wonder if this had been announced a month earlier, would EG be looking at a Korean team right now? Would they still look at a Korean team and maybe have two?
I think it depends. I think a lot of teams have different sort of requirements for what type of players they want to sponsor, right, and put in front of them. And a team like Evil Geniuses, from talking to them, they have very particular interests. Yeah, and this is not talking about any of the players in general, but that they want top caliber players as well as players who are very, very sort of sociable, speak well on camera. Like they want them to be able to talk about what it means to be on Evil Geniuses. And I mean, you got guys like Snoopy who can stare at monitors for 3 hours at a time without blinking, and people cheer for that, right? Like, you've obviously got some really stellar personalities there. And I've talked with the Frost and Blaze players a little bit, but I don't know a lot about them. Yeah. And so I couldn't really say if they're under that same sort of umbrella.
Okay, I'm glad. That's a nice segue, actually, because I was going to also talk about stories. And League of Legends Season 3 is just around the corner.
Yeah.
And it's about stories, right? It's about getting out who these players are behind the monitors, behind the champions. It's about who they actually are. And you rightly pointed out, it's very difficult for us to understand who Blaze are, who Frost are. Mm-hmm. But I've noticed already on the lolesports.com site, little plug there, there's some stories now starting to break out about these players. I mean, Ocelot's story is well documented, and we've all heard that now. But I want to know about these other guys as well.
Yeah, and that's one of our big goals with Season 3 is actually sort of broadening what it means to be involved in esports. Yeah. You look at things like the Olympics, where you watch guys do the 100-meter dash, and that's wonderful. They're phenomenal athletes. And then when they're studying for the next heat, you hear stories about Usain Bolt, right? You have him on camera. He talks about what it means to compete on this stage, and right, and that's there at every event all the time. You've got these people are human beings that honestly a lot of people care about and want to know about, and we believe the same is true for League of Legends. I mean, you've got popular streamers running 30,000+ concurrent viewers just because, hey, I'm just chilling in front of a webcam playing video games, and there's clearly a lot of people who want to watch that. Yeah. And so, a lot of people I think want to learn about these people as human beings, and so we want to put that out there.
Yeah, definitely. Riv, he's been around in esports for a long time now, pretty much the same length of time as me. I think we probably go back the same year. Just how different is it? Explain to the people that are watching and listening.
It's super different. It's super exciting. There's really never been structure like this for so long, into a year, for so long, an entire league. And the fact that I don't think anybody's really had the chance to be in the face of the players every single week, living in the same area, other than like the CGS League, and great things were brought out there, stories, context. But we get to be in these guys' lives. I'm going to know what kind of toothpaste they use and everything. We're going to create stories
I'm now
we'd never
mildly creepy worried. If you're watching anyone from League of Legends teams Season 3, Riv doesn't go through
hide your toothpaste. So it's going to be amazing. I've never had a chance to be this close to the players and be able to talk to them and not be like, hey, you're a face in a KD ratio.
Sure.
You're a face in a person, and people want to know who you are.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Now, Riv, what kind of toothpaste do you use?
I like Crest, everyone.
Crest.
So if I'm going to go searching through your stuff, grab some Crest.
This sounds like some sort of real-life AMA about to begin.
Riv, I have another question for you.
It is.
The answer is no.
What kind of shampoo do you use?
I didn't.
You don't use shampoo?
I do.
You're just naturally.
What do you use? It seems to
looking?
work really well.
I shouldn't shampoo my hair today. Apparently, you're supposed to only shampoo like once every other day, and so today was my off day. This is what I hear. I don't know much about health care.
I like it.
You can probably tell that we've been waiting quite a while now for the picks and bans. The talk has gone to the bathroom, for want of a better phrase. But
No pun. No pun there.
No pun there. No innuendo. We are almost ready to get into the picks and bans. I can see all the players have now joined, and hopefully they'll be underway fairly shortly. It does also give us a chance to talk about the World Championship whilst they sort what looks like it might be a problem with one of the players' machines or setup. So we'll leave them to do that. So yeah, Intel Extreme Masters, we've already got 10 qualified, of course. Just 2 spots remain, one of which could go to a Brazilian team. I've played the guy that's been trying to help the Brazilians believe that they can get a team to the World Championship. Is that a realistic thought from these 2 teams?
Absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely a possibility. I mean, we saw teams come out of nowhere all the time. Look back at Intel Extreme Masters Kiev, where now Gambit Gaming, formerly Moscow 5, qualified as Empire, were just some Russian dudes who were like going through crazy lineup turmoil. Alex H had been trying for like a year to get a lineup together. I mean, half his lineup was like Darian saying, "Yeah, this guy's good, bring him on." Like, just don't worry, put him on the roster, we're good. Like, just play that guy.
And grab a 1700 Lee Sin jungler.
Yeah, right. they're Diamond Prox, who's been considered like the best jungler in the world by like everyone. 1700 elo like on EU Nordic East. Like, who would have expected that, right? Like, you're up against SK Gaming, Team Solar Mid, like a lot of amazing players there, and like, yeah, we're just gonna win that real quick.
Grab a gold guy.
Like, no problem. Mid Mordekaiser, like.
And whether they said it or not, the other teams are all looking in and going, "What a scrub."
Yeah, of course. I mean, no one, like, I've played custom games, and I'm just like, all right, so, and I'll play like ARAM, like 18, 17, 16, 1800, all right, I should be okay here.
I've got this.
Yeah, you look at the elos before you start playing, and you're like, yeah, okay, we got a good chance, and here they just surprise. They surprise everyone, and now they've been the best team in Europe for a year running.
Yep.
They just won, an amazing tournament at Katowice,
yep.
beating Blaze and Frost in sequence. Like,
yes.
Hey guys, they came out of nowhere and are the best team in the world possible.
And actually, just reflecting back on Poland, they didn't have a particularly good first day either. So their group stage was pretty ropey.
Yep.
It didn't really look like they were even going to get out of the groups at one point. I mean, they were lucky to get through.
Sure.
So here we are then, picks and bans for match number 2. It is
electric picks for everyone.
Yeah, incredible miracle. IEM from Korea going up against Anexis from Poland. And we are about to get underway with the picks and bans. And Kale is first ban champion.
Well, she's been very popular, especially with the Polish teams here. Meet Your Makers had first picked her almost all of the time there. Kale is just one of those champions that has been very, very, very powerful. Mid King has an amazing mid lane roster. He's got a great rise, a lot of actually generally plays AP for the most part. But again, he is a scary man, and one of the things you can actually do in Champion Select is actually sort of focus ban a role if your lane of that sort of same role has a deeper champion pool, because you can kind of play whatever you want and just get whatever's left over.
Still see common bans coming out here, the Twisted Fate and the Nivea, not so common. Those are definitely going to be pointed at somebody on the team,
Mid
like
King.
you said, Freak, that Mid King. Kale getting banned out, so that Wukong composition as well as the Mid Kale is going to be out of the game.
And actually
Or even jungle.
Yeah, and the Shen ban is really interesting because you look back at LG versus Zulu Blaze actually, and the only times really Shen went through was when they looked to first pick it. You look back at like Blaze's bans, and they had banned him over and over, and then said, oh, we're blue team, we'll let it go through, first pick that, and then built themselves around Shen. LGIM are not going to build themselves around split push here. They're looking for something a bit more special.
Well, looks like history has changed unless he's not picked here. 100% picked or banned. Olaf is now through as Kha'Zix gets taken out, and what I thought was going to be Olaf becomes an Ezreal ban. Not even a Misfortune because she's picked first.
Misfortune, definitely a huge champion to put out here. And that opens up a lot of opportunities. LGIM have run a move before. I like Ring more on Lee Sin. Again, I'll just say it over and over. You give him Lee Sin, and he's going to do crazy things. But you're given a lot of opportunities available now to Nexus. They've got a lot. Pretty much everything is available to them here.
Freak, I feel like when you ban Ezreal like that, you say, go ahead and pick MF.
Yes, exactly. Those are kind of the top 2 most hotly contested champions. Here, I'd almost expect Olaf to come in because once you have ditched Ezreal, you say, I bait you to pick Misfortune, right?
Stand
Misfortune,
still.
Olaf, Amumu, all 3 really, really big important champions.
Whoa.
Interesting. So this is right now an AoE team so far because Normally when you pick Zyra, it's a disengage to beat up assassin teams, but here they've got a Mumu Zyra, which is, we're going to go in, pop Mumu ult, follow up with Zyra ult, and kill you over those 3 seconds where you're locked down.
Okay, so do IEM pick out Olaf? So far, Amumu and Misfortune both 100% picked up, and that's continued. Olaf's the last one.
Olaf would be a great pick here because of that Curse of the Sad Mummy, because of the crowd control they're going to have to work with in this fight against the Nexus.
Exactly. I would really like to see Olaf here. I would be very surprised to not see him come through, unless LG are looking, or sorry, IEM are looking for something really, really special here that's also hotly contested.
Wow.
Actually, it's interesting. They're really saving their cards here. They apparently are not respecting Olaf here. I'm guessing that they think there's a lane here that can beat it. I mean, unless they really think that's mid Zyra and they're trying to steal away supports. They're just not looking for Olaf that early.
Quite confusing on the picks and bans. I'm really excited to see what these guys come up with. It looks like a Nexus definitely has something in mind. And LG it looks to be picking comfort champions, as we said. MF being used a lot in Korea past days, or the past weeks, months. Ring, that Lee Sin that Freak keeps talking to. And now the Sona poke for that bottom lane is safe. Oh my gosh, so they're not going to be able to get to anybody in this.
This just became an incredibly interesting matchup because the Nexus has so many aces in the hole here. They've got an area of effect team that is ridiculously good.
Oh my goodness.
It was Zyra, Amumu, Karthus. And then they've got Urgot to just break things apart whenever something goes wrong. LGIM looking right now at Rumble Jace, I like a heck of a lot because now you've got a really crazy team. Rumble and Misfortune together are going to bring down a lot of area of effect that is going to be Ring playing Jungle Lee Sin, which, guys, just watch it. It's going to be hilarious. You've got Sona, of course, to crowd control that to make sure those spells land. And then if it all goes down, you've got a poke. You've got a lot of poke there. You've got Rumble and Jace who can just kind of keep clinging you with abilities. LGIM have an amazingly well-rounded lineup.
And wow, the Olaf doesn't even stay in the game. They are going to go for Aurelia on that last pick. Despite the scaling differences she now has in the game, 50 seconds for these guys to switch around.
Aurelia is much better against Rumble. If
Right.
she fights heads up, Olaf does not have tools to deal with Rumble. He will just take damage in that lane and have a really bad time. And if he ever trades, he stops Rumble from lane push. Right? Like when in 1v1s, you don't want to push really hard. Rumble has to by dealing damage. Olaf, if he ever trades at all, is going to undertow minions and stop the lane push. Aurelia can dive in, stun, get behind the flame spitter, and just destroy him with E10 style.
Okay, so picks and bans are over. Olaf is finally not a 100% picked or banned. Misfortune and Amumu continue that trend though, as expected, and some very interesting lineups between these two teams. I have to ask you before we send it over to the commentary team, Riv, where's your money?
I'm going to have to go for the AoE team. I've always liked AoE comps. Not that it's the team in general. A Nexus, just the comp. I really like it.
For me, it's LGIM. It's Ring Nuna playing Lee Sin. You can't. you gotta give it to him, man. The only 2 games he won against Blaze is because he had Lee Sin jungle. When next time they had Lee Sin, they gave it to a Lilac. He was top lane. He wasn't Ring Troll. They lost that one. So you got Ring and Lee Sin. You got a really, really well-rounded team. I like Incredible Miracle.
Okay, well, the Koreans are the heavy favourites, not only in this game but also in the Group B. They have Millennium and MYM waiting for them in the semi-final already. The winner of this group will play MYM, so big bonus for the team that wants to go through in first place in this particular one to avoid Millennium, who were on fire yesterday. They will be playing the second place team. So here we go then. Game number 2 is about to begin. It's LGIM versus Anexis.
Thanks a lot, guys. I'm here with Jason Kaplan, and we're going to bring you this game, which I'm really excited for, Jason. As Freak mentioned about 4,000 times, Ring's Lee Sin is pretty formidable. My only concern is the ping. On the other hand, how much did Ring used to play on the NA server when the ping, I guess, would have been around the same?
Yeah, touche, Joe. I mean, it's going to be hard to land those Qs, which are really the key point to Lee Sin, letting that Sonic Wave, then to get in there, get the slow. And then not to mention, yesterday when we did see Lee Sin, we saw actually a really nice combo where they Sonic Waved in. He actually flashed knowing that he would hit it and kicked him back into their team. But we'll see how it works out. But they are running the Rumble Jace combo, which, and as they proved against Azubu Blaze, is just really devastating.
So LGIM maybe on their most comfortable lineup here for this one. We'll see how their opponents and Nexus can really do against this one. I mean, Jason, in my opinion, LGIM are massive favourites in this. I mean, they're only fighting against a Nexus.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one thing is that you have the Urgot. I mean, we were looking at that and mentioning.
You totally didn't get the joke.
No, I
did you?
didn't.
Never mind. They're only fighting against Anexis.
Your puns are bad, and you should feel bad, Joe.
I got it off you.
Yeah, he did. So the Urgot, he's not paired with a Taric. He has that armor pen, that flat armor pen was 17 at the moment with the 8% from obviously Masteries, but without that Taric shredding the armor away, it really becomes harder to kill the AD carry. However, you're against a Sona, and she is probably one of these, actually she is, I guess, the squishiest support in the game. She has 27 armor at the moment without her W, giving her that extra armor magic resist. So if they do land one combo on her, they should be able to chunk her down quite easily.
Yeah, this is going to be a really interesting matchup. I mean, LGIM, as you said, I wonder how they've traveled from Korea, and not in terms of how they travel. I'm sure they took an aeroplane like everyone else would, but what kind of state they're in after that, because it's a long journey. It's not something that you can take for granted in a tournament at this level.
Yeah, very true. I mean, we flew 11 hours, and we were pretty tired the day we got in. Luckily, they came in a couple days earlier so they could rest and prepare for this. But Joe, let me change topics real quick. Aurelia, when we saw her picked, we looked at each other and we're like, Aurelia?
Yeah. Well, as Freak said, probably going to be able to deal with this Rumble a bit better in the top lane. We've not been seeing too much Aurelia, though, and that's, from some of the top Aurelia players. Wicked is one that really comes to mind in terms of his outspokenness there. In terms of the Aurelia, it looks like we actually are going to be seeing LGIM pushing the bottom lane into the top, so this switch is going to come around.
And we're going to see a switch in the mid lane as well. We're going to see Karthus versus Rumble in that bottom lane. Karthus was sent to lane without that blue buff, unfortunately for him, but does have that Christian Frost to sustain. And Aurelia, I mean, she's kind of one of those champions where you don't really need a lot of farm early on, but you need to farm somewhere just to kind of get your items up. We should expect to see that Warmog Sunfire Cape build out of her. But mid lane, Joe, Urgot Zyra versus Jace. Haven't really seen this combo ever, I have to say. But Jace sitting there with 25 armor, expected to go get some AP. Obviously not going to be rooting for that armor, going to be getting some mana regen. Should have a tough time.
Question is, though, Jason, who does this whole switch benefit more? As we are going to see Overpower come into the jungle. Ring and Lasher are both there, as we do see the root landing. Ring could actually be in a lot of trouble here, but we do see Mid King coming around as well. Ring will go down. First blood coming out for Arkwell. He dies then to Jace. Afterwards, Ring is going to fall as well. Not Ring, Lasher, sorry, at the end there. The root actually landing here onto Mid King, and the Mumu's not finished. Paragon having to flash away. Celeber chasing in. He doesn't really have any mana left. Will get knocked back there. And Paragon surviving that by just one leg waste. Crazy start.
Yeah, what a very insane, crazy start. Great play by Overpower right there. I mean, he saw it Ring there. He had his team come back from that mid lane to give him the damage they needed. They had the exhaust pop dom, so he couldn't escape. Picking up that first blood and getting that early game advantage with the 2 kills to 1. Such a great job out of Anexis.
Yeah, really solid play. And the dream start for them. I think if Anexis were going to win this game, they probably knew that they had to get off to a flying start, and that's certainly what they've done here. First blood, of course, went over to wow, I'm saying that, and now I can't even remember.
Went over to Arkwell, the Urgot.
Yeah, went to Arkwell. Then we saw a kill for Karthus, and then there's a kill back for Jace. So now, with that in mind, Jason, who's got the most comfortable start from this one in terms of the lane swaps that we've had going on as well?
I have to really say Anexis in that mid lane. I mean, Arkwell was able to go back and completely buy that Tear of Goddess, which gives him just that extra sustain in lane in terms of damage to really harass Mid King. But in retrospect, Mid King 15 CS to the 10 currently of Arkwell. He's staying in range. He has the ability to farm with that range with his QE combo. So he's definitely not really hurting at all. Though in the bottom lane, Karthus, he used pretty much all of his well, he did use all of his summoners right there, and he should actually have a hard time against Rumble in the bottom lane if Rumble lands that one slow onto him. Obviously, Wall of Pain will be able to help out a little bit, but Mylac, pretty damn good Rumble player.
You can see that Arkwell and Grom, who obviously is named Matty in this one, the stand-in. No Erotic, sadly enough, this time around in the support role.
I bet Demon's a little sad after not being able to cast that.
Exactly. But we've got this AD carry and support lane coming out to the top, so they're going to be evenly matched up there. We can see that Misfortune already has an early lead in terms of the creep score, but Arkwell should be able to put down some good damage with that EQ combo coming out of Urgot.
Yeah, very true, especially when we're talking about earlier how Squishy, Misfortune, and Sona are great. Actually play by them to lane switch, knowing that they couldn't really deny Jace that much. Aurelia's been going up against him, which she doesn't have too tough of a time, and obviously she can be harassed from range, but she ended up going for Doran's Blade for some extra sustain. But as long as she can stick to Mid King, she can't actually beat him in a fight.
Well, right now we've got Ring coming through the lane. Oh, that's a great flash away from Grom, but will Arkwell be able to get away the same here? He's not got a flash available. There's no Ignite down there as well as the plants come in, but it's not going to be enough, surely. Arkwell only needed one more hit. Oh, and they've managed to get away. The clutch route coming out of Grom will actually save Arkwell there in one more auto attack from any of the LGIM players.
And that completely just came off of cooldown when he landed that, but now actually Grom going to have a tough time here. 1v3, he's actually going to have to ditch this turret, and LGM should be able to pick up the first turret of the game. We do have in the bottom lane, though, a Mumu overpowered trying to go in for a gank onto Lilac, who has his flash and his Ignite available, so I don't really think he's going to be too successful down there.
Yeah, and we've seen it before, you know, that, okay, you don't get a kill, but if you force him away from the turret, that turret's going to be going down, and kills certainly aren't the prime thing to be aiming for yet in League of Legends, certainly at this level, as we are going to see LG now, or LGIM now push down this first turret of the game, the outer turret in that top lane, as Overpower did come for a bit of a sniff down bottom, but Lilac already having that ward in position, won't be caught out by that one.
Yeah, we do have Overpower coming back yet again. He's really committing a lot of time to this bottom lane, which is going to hurt him in the long run. He needs that level 6 to just be so devastating in these lane ganks, or ganks at all, even in team fights, obviously. And mixed in with the Zyra combo of knocking them all up twice.
Whoa, Lilac's going straight in there. Wow, that was really fast kill as well. We caught it on screen. Brilliant stuff coming out of Lilac. Actually flashed straight in. Ultimate came down on top of him, and there was nothing that Celiva could do about that one.
Yeah, unfortunately for Karthus, didn't have that ultimate available since he wasn't level 6 to try to potentially get that kill back. But yeah, great play by him, knowing that Karthus still had no flash available when he used it in that middle lane for the fight. But now it looks like he's going to be heading towards that top lane, and the AD carry and support going down towards the bottom.
Yeah, Misfortune and Sona headed down here for Incredible Miracle. Let's see what they can pull off. Let's see if they can have this tower away. I mean, it's going to be a while until anyone goes for that one, as Ring is actually taking a peek here over towards that blue buff. Oh, Overpower's lucky there. He actually smited it falsely and didn't quite get the kill with the smite. Here comes Celiva, though. That's surely going to force Ring to back away. Celiva not looking like he wants to get too involved with it, though. And we will see Ring staying safe. But if you'd have queued literally a half second earlier, you probably would have been able to take down that blue buff with the Q.
And Joe, notice how many wards currently LGIM is sitting on. They have 3 members of their team sitting on, well, it was more originally. They had 2 wards each. They're going to be going for this Dragon off of that, knowing that they had to make Overpower back. And in the meantime, we have the top lane for Anexis trying to push into that turret, but they're not really going to get too much damage on it. And as you see right there, first Dragon of the game going over to LGIM and have a very strong lead right off the bat.
Yeah, 11.4 to 9.7 thousand gold. That's already a considerable amount. I mean, we're only 8 minutes into this one. As you said, first Dragon going down. Look at the ward coverage as well. That's the vision that LGIM currently have over the minimap. On the other side, there's like 2 wards down. Actually, that's 3, so Joe can't count. We all knew that anyway. For Anexis. So in terms of vision, LGIM got a real strong lead on this one.
And as we know, wards do win games, Joe. But Misfortune currently building towards that Brutalizer, going to help out quite a bit in damage just overall, especially against a squishy Karthus. If they do actually stay in these lanes, which is a little bit, well, it's not really surprising since Rumble obviously can now easily destroy Karthus, even though he has that flash teleport back up. But still, it's really going to hurt Anexis in the long run. Karthus needs that farm. He's only sitting at 37 to his counterpart in the mid lane, 65. And as we know, I mean, Froggen, 23 minutes in, had over 300 CS. That's the kind of Karthus you're going to need here with that ultimate doing the damage.
Well, sadly for every other team out there, not everyone's got a Froggen.
I thought you were trying to make a pun there.
No, it's just actually a fact, you know. I'm sure every team would love to have a Froggen replica in their team as well, although I guess you could say that most of these guys that are playing on this level can put that kind of performance out there as well. But let's take a quick look at the overall picture once again. 1-0 in turrets, 2-2 still in kills. Well, that 2,000 gold lead from that one turret kill and the Dragon is making a big difference in this early stages. We are going to see Mid King go in there on towards Zazas, has to back away, and that will be nothing. But LGIM are pushing this bottom lane.
Yeah, we do have a Mumu level 6 now, trying to go in for a gank here. Does let it bench us on the last minion.
Yeah, there's a great crescendo coming across. Overpower will put the ultimate down, but he could be in a lot of trouble. He's forced to flash away. Celiva is low as well, but Incredible Miracle decide, no, we can't push this one through just yet. Jace is coming from the side, but he's not going to be able to get any kills, but they will be quite happy on this next wave to take a second turret.
Yeah, having 4 members down there. Actually, he does back away instead, knowing that the 3 members can't take that down. Gonna have to keep Aurelia away from farming, and still just sitting on that Doran's Blade, has 1,500 gold to spend if she wants to, so I'm looking at a Giant's Belt being built and eventually a War Mox coming out of him to really be extremely tanky. He is being spotted by a Warder now as he backs, but I don't think they're able to do anything about it. Looks like Mickey actually going to try to go for an interrupt.
Oh, he's managed to get it there as well, Mid-King, as he is going to push in. Is he going to try and track down the kill? He's got plenty of mana, got that blue buff as well, which is going to give him a nice advantage. Actually, Zaz is forced to flash away, and that's a win-win scenario for Mid-King.
Yeah, very true. In the meantime, top was trying to push very hard. As you see, Rumble is just fending them off. 1v2 right now. He has that one kill in his pocket, has Sork Boots and a Ruby Crystal towards the Hunting guys, even a Cloth Armor to defend against this Urgot. So he's doing an extraordinary job. We need to see Anexis take a turret here very soon. And if they don't, they're going to fall so far behind that there's no way they can win these team fights.
Yeah, and we can start to see those Giants belts slowly creeping in onto both lineups. Both Rumble, sorry, that's a light. Lee Sin has one, and also Irelia, 2 Brutalizers over with LGIM as well. That tier obviously was built up very early on by Urgot. I'm going to switch over to middle here because we are seeing that pressure being switched down towards that final outer tower. Now as Rumble is going to go in there, he is going to be dead from that one. And well, Arkwell going very, very low, does actually manage to survive in the end. That's a nice little kill pick up there for them. But are they going to be able to defend this middle turret against 4? That's the real question now.
No. And I'll give you a real answer, Joe. No, there's absolutely nothing they can do about that turret. That will be the 3rd turret of the game. All the outer turrets being down now. And LJM, they're just playing so well. They seem so fluid in every direction they go. I mean, they move from bot lane together up to mid lane, and they're just playing perfect.
Well, that's kind of what we expected from the Korean team, right?
Yeah.
To come out here with a game plan, stick to it, and really bring things home. And that's one of the reasons that we touched on why the whole Curse of the Sad Bullet Time seems to work so well for the Korean teams, that when everyone tries to replicate it, doesn't quite work out. And there are different reasons, I suppose, for that one. Teamwork, the coordination, the practice time that these guys have together is pretty much unrivaled around the world, at least for now.
Yeah. And hopefully in Season 3, where we see teams able to just sit there in a gaming house and practice together instead of having to worry about school, having to worry about work, should be able to catch up here very shortly. At least be able to raise the skill floor that we currently have. And Joe, looking at the teams for late game, the kind of compositions, we have LJM with a very good team at chasing you down. You have that Rumble Ultimate to slow them. You have the Acceleration Gate to speed them up. You have Misfortune, just naturally is super fast. So trying to go for a blue still here, so we'll get back into that in a second.
Well, blue is actually having to be smited away there for overpowers, and Crescendo comes down. They're going to go for this one. There goes the bullet time across them. Curse of the Sad Mummy comes down. Lasher may just fall here. It is Aurelia that goes on top of him. Will actually pick up. In fact, no, it was Grom that stole it in the end. Sullivan now being chased down the Q from Ring. Not quite connecting. And that will be Anexis actually picking up that one. 1-for-0. They took their blue buff. Yes, it probably wasn't on the target that they wanted there with Karthus, but they've secured it and they got a kill.
And now LGM should be able to put some pressure on this middle turret. Urgot's going to be the only one to defend it, but against a team like this, there's nothing you can do about it when you have those 3 bruises in your face. And they should be able to at least take it down to half health, as we see Anexis trying to hurry back from the base. Not going to be able to do too much, though. And going back to the team fighting compositions, Anexis, they have a really interesting composition. It's really AoE oriented, as we were here in the analysis desk talk about. Actually, sorry, Kyle was getting very, very close there to going for a switch. So they're really dependent on that Mumu letting the nice ultimate with the Zyra to combo it in, and then Karthus to be able to stand in the middle of them and let his AoE just do the damage. Unfortunately for him, doesn't have a lot of Aegis done yet, won't be as tanky as he needs to be to go up against this team, who they're really a mid-game kind of team, minus the Misfortune with the Jace, with the Rumble.
Yeah, and so far, I mean, they've got almost a 2,000 gold lead, 3-0 in turrets, and we use this word too much, the whole well-oiled machine of the Korean team. I say we, I mean me, obviously. And the whole, the way that they just pick them apart, so calculated, so systematic. They just go from tower to tower to tower. Okay, it's time for Dragon. Okay, blue buffs up. And they just go about it in such a way that's so effective. You'd almost think they were German.
It's like chess, though, Joe, because they're thinking a step ahead. I mean, as you saw right there, they got the first dragon, they had the timer on it, they were waiting for it. We do have Engage coming out of Overpower, but it's not going to be good for Nexus.
Yeah, actually, Grom going very low. He's going to be the first victim of this one. His ultimate not really in the right position, and now Mid-King going to dive right in there, and Nexus fall into pieces. But Karthus not done just yet. That ulti comes down. Doesn't quite pick up what he wanted. He got a 1 kill onto Lee Sin, but Overpower has been chased down by Mid-King. He's going to switch stances and get the ace.
That was such a misplay out of Anexis, though. They seem kind of desperate to make something happen. They don't really have the farm they need, the damage they need to do anything to LJM. As you see right now, I mean, Lilac, he's not extremely healthy, but the rest of his team relatively is. We did see, obviously, Ring go down. They got the dragon off of that. They're going to be able to take this turret, and the goal lead is just getting so far ahead at this point in the game. Only 15 minutes, but the lead being up to 5,000, and it's going to be even more than that right now. It's just impossible to come back from unless, I guess, there's CLG EU, or now known as EG.
Yeah, but even then, I mean, it's always a difficult one, and I'm sure they can admit themselves that that will only happen at that kind of level once in every blue moon. But right now, as you can see, they're all headed back here. Plenty of gold to be spent. 1,800 on Miss Fortune, 1,700 almost on Rumble, who will actually pick himself up that Haunting. Guys, you can see that Jace and Miss Fortune pretty much copying each other's builds here. Got the 2 BF swords, the 2 brutalizers, the 2 vamp scepters, Tia for Jace, and that Doran's blade for Miss Fortune. And you compare that over to the other side, well, you can't. That's the point.
Yeah, and we see those Black Cleavers done if they want to go for that first, which obviously it looks like they are going to be going for. It's just going to make them so much stronger. Like those, little items completed, and if you want to fight around those, makes these team fights even go heavier in your direction. So Anexis, they're kind of forced to go tanky right now, but they also need the damage. They don't have the money to spend. That's the problem. We do have Aurelia, still has, well, 2/3 of that Warmog's armor done, and not enough gold to actually complete that, but she's pretty much the tank. As you see right now, Overpow, he doesn't have any health. I mean, he doesn't have any resistance. He has 9 on armor, yes, but 1,400 health isn't going to save him at all when you have 2 Brutalizers and potentially Black Cleavers coming. But we do have the Bloodthirster done for Mid King.
Yep, health still is the king here. And those...
Aha, I see what you did.
I didn't... What?
You said health is the king. Mid King. All right.
Okay. So yeah, Giants belts with Rumble and with Lee Sin. Oh, Jason. Oh, Jason.
Make it so easy.
Well, there wasn't even a pun there. You just made it up. That's how terrible your puns are, because you think that was a good one or something. I don't know. But LGIM here pushing that mid lane, and you can see the damage that Jace does. He just ripping them to pieces from such range that they just can't really keep up with him. You see their max range onto Arkwell, and now they just force their way through as Rumble heats up the wall there. And they're going to keep pushing.
Mid King is not missing any of his abilities right now. He keeps hitting them one after one. He actually connected with 3 consecutively. Got Arquel very low, got Grom very low, and they're forced to back away and heal. And this mid turret, Joe, this isn't going to last long at all. We do have all of them ready, all ultimates up. And if this first tower goes down and the inhibitor right after, there's no way Nexus can come back from it. Yeah,
and the funny thing is, as you just said, that Mid King actually missed his first one that I've pretty much seen him miss the entire game. And as we say that as well, LGIM see, oh look, we've got minions in that top lane. Let's head up there. Let's take out that almost final inner turret. They still have one down in that bottom lane. But again, just such effective destruction here by LGIM.
And fortunately for Nexus, they have the Urgot who just didn't get a foothold into the game. He didn't get the items he really needed. He wasn't able to punish an AD carry support lane. And because of that, he's just going to be basically useless. He does have 2 kills, but I mean, the items, if you compare him to his counterpart, you have a BF Sword, a Brutalizer, and Miss Fortune sitting on 1,000 gold to back with. Just nothing he can do. He cannot compete in damage in any way.
So what's the next target here for LGIM? Bottom lane is actually fairly far pushed out. We can see Rumble in this top lane just pushing it against the inhibitor turret on that top lane. Buff's going to be stolen away here from the jungle, as we are seeing Silver come out, which is kind of ballsy in my opinion to be that far out. You don't really know when that Jace is just going to come flashing over the top of the wall and pounce on you and destroy you. But either way, let's have a look at the gold. Everyone's up in the thousands here pretty much to spend, and that just makes it even more painful next time around, as Anexis actually working their way over towards the Baron pit.
And take a look at Vision right now, Joe, for LGIM. They just have so much warded up that there's nothing Anexis can do. They can't leave their base without being spotted right now. Obviously, the bot said they can, but they can't farm their own jungle creep, and that's what Overpower was trying to do. He's only able to pick up the wolves, wasn't able to get his own blue. They're going to fall behind in levels because LGIM is just suffocating them in terms of gold and the experience.
Yeah, it's 6,600 gold, that lead currently. 5-0 in turrets, and while we've got a bit of a lull, look at that, full HP, taking about 2 hits, and that one's not much better either. Like, this is just an absolute, I mean, 7-5 in kills. That tells like a completely different story to what's actually going on.
Yeah, I mean, that's objectives. 5 turrets to 0. We had 2 dragons to 0, and that really just stacks up to be so much gold, and it really snowballs against you. Making landing another one yet again, and look at that. I mean, that was a 3rd health practically from 1 combo. And he has blue buff consistently, so he gets the combos off even quicker. With that cooldown reduction, it's another one right there.
3rd HP from Grom. Yeah, and that's the danger that they've got with that blue buff constantly. If the last 2 that they've had, and he just keeps going with that one. This bottom lane has finally been pushed up by Lee Sin. In the meantime, all the other lanes being farmed out and pushed through. LGIM really are, I think, preparing here for a final push.
Why not? I mean, they have an 8,000 gold lead. There's no reason for them to not do this. They can easily dive into these turrets. They are tanking up to do it. Lee Sin has his Warmogs almost complete. I believe he's actually about to complete it when he does go back. Dragon up again. I see right there. I mean, the Q came out of Lee Sin right as it spawned.
Yeah,
they have the exact time on it. And there's nothing Anexis can do about it. Even if they were trying to contest it, they would lose the fight. And now the third dragon of the game going over to them.
Yeah. But we know from Intel Extreme Masters, the rule when you go to a tiebreaker, we call it a time breaker. You have to win games fast and lose games slow to have the best possible times there, which means even if Anexis think or even know that this game is not going their way, they need to drag it out for as long as possible.
Yeah, very true. And they kind of have the ability to do that with the Zyra, with the Karthus. As long as Karthus has the mana to do it, they easily will be able to clear out the waves. Problem is, if they keep getting poked, if they can't dodge it, which is relatively hard to do with 140, 160 ping when they're used to pretty much 0 when they play in offline events, you're going to get engaged upon and you're not going to be able to lose slow like you want to.
I can see the poke there coming out from all angles. Jace ripping Celiva down to only 2/3 of his HP remaining. Arkwell suffers the same fate from that one as well. And they are just pushing. And, you know, they can just keep soaking these waves up, but at the end of the day, Anexis are going to run out of health soon.
Yeah, especially with all this poke. I see right there yet again. Just constantly hitting, just constantly hammering away. This is the first time I think I've seen Mid King without a blue buff. Well, after the first one, obviously. But still, that poke, that acceleration gate out of Jace is just so devastating because even minus the poke he's doing, they have that really easy engage with that speed.
It's not even got vision there. That's the crazy thing as well.
It's like shooting fish in a barrel, Joe. Pretty easy to do when they're all grouped up around that tower.
Yeah, but even when they were like backed away to this point, here is still in. We are going to see them going in. Rumble ultimate does go down. There is the bullet time, not super effective, but look how low Overpower got with that one, and that will be enough to force them away and get the objectives that they were looking for. That inner turret, the final inner turret left here on Summoner's Rift, and LGIM, they could well push through for more.
Yeah, I want to say they have to be a little careful here because we do have a Nexus with all their ultimates up to really kind of get a nice engage. They do back away smart enough. But then again, LGM's so far ahead. Look how much gold they're going to be spending. Yeah, everyone has over 1,000 gold to spend. We're going to see so many items completed. Warmogs, Alpha Wall has, well, not at least one Warmog, but a rather swift scepter done for a Lilac. And the Shurelya's as well. So, I mean, if they weren't able to engage easy enough as it was with the Shurelya's acceleration gate, there's nothing a Nexus can do. And I hate to keep saying it, but it's just pretty much at that point. I think everyone can see it, and even a Nexus can.
Yeah, and if we look at the difference, Rumble to Irelia, 7,400 to 4,700 gold. The AD carries 7,400 to 5,800. Like, it's a massive difference here, and well, it will take some kind of superbly amazing throw by LGIM to give this game up.
It might even take an incredible miracle, Joe.
Oh God.
I'm proud of myself on that one, actually. Anyways, though, we do have Baron up, obviously, to be taken, but as LJM, what's the point in trying to go for Baron when we already have this kind of lead? We do have Anexis trying to be aggressive here, trying to catch someone off guard, but look at Rumble with the Riley's Crystal Scepter. There's nothing they can do in terms of catching up to him. We do have the switch, though.
We are going to have that switch coming in there. Lilac just going to walk away from that one, throws his own ultimate down. Overpower is being shredded before he can really get that Curse of the Sad Money off. They're moving in there. Now LGIM really reacting. The crescendo goes down. They kick Karthus out of the way, and they still manage to pick up the kills. Karthus ulti finally going to come in. Bullet time over the wall, not quite enough.
Ooh,
double kill for Sona. Wow, pretty Gosu Pepper stuff right there. And that will be a 3-for-1 again. And that fight started off as a 5 versus 3, I think.
Yeah, it was a 3v5 where LGM kind of got caught right there, but it didn't even matter. Lilac took so much damage from a Nexus because of that Riley Scepter, because he's so far ahead in level, sitting at level 13 right now, ahead of everyone currently on a Nexus. They're just going to win. I mean, they have that ability to. They have the damage, they have the tankiness that you're going to need in these fights, and they're just showing what they can do with it.
Still no Baron being taken. Don't really need Baron to be taken.
No point in getting it stolen away and giving the other team a chance.
And you can see wards coming up all over the place. Incredible Miracle looking to take down even more buffs. You can see there another 1,000 gold on Jace. There was over 1,000 gold on Sona, who's just picked up that Oracle, so that may be a sign that they do in fact want to have this Baron on them before they go in.
Well, the thing is, we saw in day one, actually, well, yesterday, we saw Pain versus Nex Impetus, and we saw the Baron actually get stolen away. Pain took it on their Amumu, and they ended up winning the game because of that extra gold, able to hold on. They obviously do have that vision. They are going to force someone or actually a lot of people at Anexis, to come out and kind of stop it. But the thing is, if they come out of their base with how many wards they currently have down and how many more they can put down, they're not going to be able to win these fights. Like, they need that. They need the surprise factor to win these fights, and even with that, that's still going to be a tough time.
Is there a chance, Jason?
No. I hate to say it, but I mean, everyone can see it right now. It's clear as day. 11,000 gold lead currently, and LGIM is just, they're ramping up for the win, as you can tell. They got a lot of damage onto that mid turret. Actually, took it down, sorry, and had that inhibitor open. They can take that at any moment they want to, and their items just keep getting stronger and stronger. And you look over to the Nexus side, not very many things completed over the past 10 minutes.
Not got the things. I mean, look at Irelia, Warbox and Endurance Blade.
That's it. Yeah, and 600 gold in her pocket.
Really not bringing up the goods, as we are going to see LGIM back away towards the Baron, and they are going to have this one for free as well.
And Joe, we got Crescendo up. We have flashes up on 2 of the carries for Misfortune and Jace. Nexus obviously not going to do anything about it, though, as you see that Baron dropping down to half health, and Nexus just, I don't know if they know what's going on, but they can obviously assume it, but there's nothing they can do about it. And they're just trying to lose slow, like you're saying, Joe.
Here we go, through that acceleration gate. Are we going to see that final push coming in? I mean, bottom and top lanes are all nicely pushed through. This middle lane has that naked inhibitor in it. Sona here going to be helping to clear out those wards as they go. And actually, Lee Sin was even further pushed up there. Was already just outside that inhibitor itself, as the root will actually miss that.
Oh, there's the first miss that I've actually seen out of the shock blast. But anyways, yeah, I mean, Ring was pushed up because he's not afraid. He's so mobile with Lee Sin, he's so tanky at the moment. They get the first inhibitor. It looks like they're just going to do a systematic win. Just, go to the top lane now, force that mid lane to push up against it, force someone to back away to defend it, take that top tier down, then the inhibitor, and maybe even swing down to the bottom depending if they have a team fight.
And again, we see Lilac here just getting ready to make some kind of move there. He's hurting a lot. I mean, he is doing a lot of damage to that Crystal Scepter, that Haunting, guys. And they are now going to try and take down that inhibitor turret. And Nexus got decent clear as well, but I don't think decent enough to hold them off over any kind of extended period here.
Especially with Baron. I mean, they can just heal back up. Any poke does get taken. But look for the Rumble ultimate to actually engage this fight right here with the Crescendo, with the acceleration gate, with the Shurelya's popped, and then the Crescendo following up, because that will be pretty much the game if you see that happen.
Turret not taking too much of a beating just yet, but you can see Ring just off to the side. He'll happily tank a turret hit here, turret hit there, and then go straight back in.
Well, Super Minions have finally pushed up to this mid lane, so Ring is just roaming around. They should easily have this top turret now, as there's 2 members sent back, Karthus and Amumu. And it's right there, the damage. Arco have to be forced to actually go heal, and that turret is a goner.
Yep, and there we go. Rumble ulti coming in. A lot of damage coming down. Amumu's ultimate only really catching Lasher. That may be enough for the Crescendo. The ultimate coming out of Zyra wasn't enough either. That is going to be inhibitor number 2 going down. And to be frank, they could probably just push for the win here.
Yeah, I mean, any damage it did just take is getting healed up, as you see. Even Arakel's trying to chase them away, but Jace, in the middle of that fight, actually finishes Mirror Mana, so he wasn't hurting enough as it was. He's going to be hurting, obviously, that much more. Dragon is up, and
seriously,
they're
going back for a Dragon.
Which seems a little unnecessary, but, if you want to secure a win, I guess that's the way to do it. But then again, like you're saying, they're against time. Yeah, well, not against time just yet, but they have the potential to be against time if we do have that time breaker.
Yeah, I wonder if anyone, I wonder if they read the rule book that they all get when they arrive at Intel Extreme Masters. Because that has proved to be very, very important for a lot of teams in the past. Look how much they're going to spend here. What do we see? Last Whisper, Locket of the Iron Solari, and Last Whisper. What else? Where's the rest of them going home? There's another Last Whisper coming in.
Leandra's Torment. Aegis of the Legion.
Pots, Swords, Aegis, Oracles. Yeah. This should be just a matter of time. But as you said, it's important for Anexis to hold on like this.
Yeah. They need to definitely lose slow, because you never know what happens. I mean, Gambit Gaming got through day 1 in Intel Extreme Masters Katowice based off 60 seconds. And that, could have been the difference between them not winning the tournament and seeing, a Zublu maybe win it. Even in Singapore, Mutual Makers had the trouble of that. They had to go through that time breaker. Fortunately for them, they actually got through it and ended up winning the tournament as well. So that's 2 Intel Extreme Master events where it was decided at the time, the time breaker, who would win the entire event.
And they are going full-on tutorial style here. Going to go for that 3rd and final inhibitor. And then pushing through for the win. They've got 2 Oracle Elixirs on them. Ring just pushing that mid lane back up there. The minions coming in. Again, the poke coming down. And this turret is not going to last any length of time. Root's coming as well, and that will be the final turret outside of the Nexus taken down. Final inhibitor going to be going with it as well, and now LGIM going to be looking to close out this game.
And they're still playing very systematically. I mean, 3 inhibitors taken down when you're already this far ahead doesn't seem necessary, but still, I can't really complain about what they're doing, as we do see Lilac getting caught, but it doesn't really matter. He's taking no damage as Baron Buff finally does wear away, even though for some reason on my screen, on your screen too, you see Misfortune still having it.
I see they've all still got it.
Not on their buff bar, Joe. But we do see it engage.
Well, engage, going to come in. Rumble actually putting his down. Karthus ultimate is going to do pretty much nothing to LGIM in that one. Karthus obviously dying there very quickly. That's the first Nexus turret going down. Grom has to back away. He might actually die. In fact, he gets over with a flash on towards the fountain. Arquel going to be the next target. He's been shredded down by Rumble. Zazas is there. Grom is there, but it's just a matter of time. They're hammering away on that second Nexus turret. Overpower trying to protect it. In fact, he's doing a half-decent job, but it's just not going to be enough as Jay slams the hammer down. And that is going to be LGIM picking up their first victory here at the Intel Extreme Masters Brazil in Group B.
And what a way to start off the day for them with a very one-sided victory. And on the opposite side of that coin, Nexus getting just absolutely destroyed in that game. They have to be able to at least shrug that off for the next one, because they still have 3 more matches to go today.
Yeah, I mean,
2 more matches, sorry.
2 more matches, yeah. I mean, 606 Jace in the end. That Jace managing to sneak through probably won't against any of the other teams, I'm guessing. 306 Misfortune. We've seen a lot of teams that are playing against Queens ban Misfortune out because she is such a comfortable champion for these guys. Ring on Lee Sin, 0-10 in the end. Okay, he didn't rack up the kills, but he was pivotal in a lot of that dominance there.
And the thing was, is that Anexis let those champions get through. They let Lee Sin, they let the Jace, they let the Rumble go through, even the Misfortune, and you can't do that. If you have the ability to research the teams, you can't let their favorite champions go through. It's just asking to lose.
Well, in the end, they can only ban what they're prepared for here. Maybe Anexis didn't quite read enough coming into this one. They do have a substitute as well. We should probably say Grom's here instead of Erotic, who is their normal support player. But what they've got to do right now is not fall into the trap of the European LCS qualifiers, which is lose the first game, then lose the second one, and go out with even making a single dent on the tournament as a whole. They have to pick themselves up and win the game.
Yeah, very true indeed. And we're going to have the expert desk here to analyze that game. And I honestly wouldn't like to be in their position because it was kind of one-sided. But go ahead and take that away.
Yes, thanks very much. Very, very one-sided game in the end. In fact, the fastest game we've had so far at the Intel Extreme Masters Brazil, 31 minutes and 24 seconds. Not quite a Hyman mid, but 31-24 is pretty quick.
Yep.
There's very little to take out of that from an Anexis point of view. We've got our first replay keyed up. It's, I would say it's a key moment. It's 23 minutes in, but there weren't really any other key moments. I mean, this was the point at which Anexis, they had a slight lead in terms of kills at this point, but they were never anywhere near close to any turrets. I mean, I think there was like 10 health removed from one turret at this point. So why don't you take us through that particular replay, Frank?
Okay, so this is basically the one ace in the hole that Nexus has, which is that occasional Urgot swap where you actually pick someone out, and they picked out a Lilac. So you get the swap on Rumble, they put out a lot of damage, and he flashes out and gets a beautiful equalizer. Look at this, completely splits the team off. Arquel actually got kicked out by Ring Troll, and they just have everyone separated here. Celebra's not even in range to put down any damage from Defile. The swap, the stun from Aurelia all used on Lilac, and he's safe at half health still and in Fog of War at this point. So you kind of see it play out. Overpower just dropped way too low. Lilac is happy to focus him down and get rid of him anyway. Celeber finally gets to flash in, but it's already too late. He'd been kicked out of range, he'd been knocked away, just gets kind of crushed out by Sona. And this is kind of all you can say about this fight, is no one has any health anymore. Ring actually surviving with no health because of his shield, just the team tanky enough. It's just kind of what you see in those fights, is that they were just very, very ahead, and the ace in the hole, that Urgot swap, was not enough for them.
Yeah, so key moment in the middle of the game, and
just pushing on, kill the base.
Well, we could have carried on and showed you the end, but it wouldn't be worth it. It was very difficult to get anything out of that for Anexis, really. I mean, I was struggling. I was thinking, what can we pull out of that was positive? I suppose the early game they were fairly okay.
Yeah.
Had the kill lead at the very least, but they were always struggling and on the back foot. Gold, turrets, everything.
Yeah, they had a really sort of unfortunate, sort of lane setup. It was a good set of lane swaps there by Incredible Miracle, they got a lot of early turret kills and didn't lose theirs in those swaps. It's one of the key things you'll see, because if you pick a 2-on-1, you've got a 1-on-2 somewhere else. You've got to win that lane before your lane loses. And they were able to do that, right? And sort of characteristically, we've seen that the team that is able to survive in the 1v2, but get the turret kill in the 2-on-1 and then swap around so that they can have two champions defend that weak turret is in a great situation.
Yeah. So Riv, let's turn this around a little bit.
Sure.
That was potentially LGIM's hardest game of the group. That's pretty scary for the Brazilians, isn't it?
It is. They methodically and systematically made sure there was no way of an advantage to be grabbed. We look at the CS, 13, 14 minutes into the game.
It was awful.
Amumu had 70 CS, just like Aurelia in the top lane, or where the lane where she was.
Yeah.
And it's that you don't want your jungler to be close to CS in any of your lanes. You want him to be assisting kills if he's a utility jungler, or helping to engage those, pick him up for himself, and really be the initiator of the team. With the way that it was always going mediocre, Aurelia and Amumu both had trouble initiating.
Yeah.
So they really shut him down in that aspect.
In every way.
Yes,
we're trying to pull something out here for the polls, but there is very little to draw from that. I suppose the only saving grace they have is that potentially definitely the next two games are going to be easier than that game, because that was an absolute stomp.
I think that the sort of gameplay we saw from Incredible Miracle was probably the most cohesive, and as you mentioned in the beginning, right, the fastest win we've had. That was the least close game we've seen. And so you've got to hope for their sake that their other opponents are easier. I don't think either of the Brazilian teams this group put on quite as dominating of a performance. But we'll see. It's hard to determine how good a team is when you face such difficult competition. And so certainly LGIM looks very untouchable right now. And we'll see if that changes throughout the tournament. I can't draw from that game just how good Anexis is looking today, and so we'll see how these next games pull out.
Yep, okay. Well, that next game will be LGIM versus Keed from Brazil, and we'll see how they fare against the Koreans. That's coming up very shortly, so don't go too far away. This is the Intel Extreme Masters Brazil, coming to you live via Sao Paulo.